Right, hello everybody, welcome back. So after yesterday's little dip, which is kind of, I suppose, what we were expecting to see, so we've got it. I'm not saying that we're not going to get a further dip, but that was I suppose the liquidity grab, the funding reset that I was kind of looking for. It could come down further, but I was happy to kind of buy it back. So I wanted to show you something that I find quite interesting, and if you've watched my channel, I suppose over the last 6 months or so. You know that towards the end of last year, so November, December, I was calling for the alt season around mid to late January, and it was because there was lots of coins, lots of charts that all had a similar kind of vibe going on, same kind of signals, suggesting that they would have freedom to move around mid to late January. And because there were so many of them, it meant that if those charts were to play out in a coordinated fashion, which kind of I suppose is what happened, the market cap would get pushed in a certain direction. It would cause like a domino effect. So, with that in mind, I'm not calling for an alt season. We're technically still in an alt season. We are, I suppose, looking at an extension of that alt season because we've got the continuation move over the top cap altcoins. So this is something that we, piece together bit by bit in doing the live streams, those Patreon live streams we do. But I've got a handful of coins that I'm going to show you now. I'm going to show you something very interesting on all of those. So first of all, just looking at Bitcoin, for what it's worth, we do have this conversion baseline cross taking place on the daily here. We had a negative one here, a positive one here. This one's a good setup for what it's worth. Should suggest a continuation from this move. But these itchy cloud conversion baselines on the daily for Bitcoin have happened quite sporadically. I suppose quite often, I suppose, and they have played out, but they've not played out to the extent that they normally would. But even so, it's a positive thing. So Bitcoin looks like it's okay for me. I'll be quite positive. I'm going to be quite positive about it. There's nothing. I wouldn't say there's anything particularly bearish about Bitcoin here. It might be a bit slow, but that's fine. I want it to be slow. I don't want it to go completely crazy. And the way it looks at the moment does look like it wants to put in an all-time high. The only thing that's going to stop that from taking place is this Dixie chart. And again, we went through this yesterday. We've been through it many times. The Dixie's in an uptrend, and it's a continued uptrend, and it will be a sustained uptrend. And this is the trajectory that I'm looking for it to go in. Rejection around the top here. We could come down into these areas down here. That's fine. Still remain in this uptrend. We don't have to be pushing our way at the top. We could come down. We could have come all the way down to the bottom, get rejected from these. But this is the zone. This is the vibe. This is the area. This is the rough time frame. And this is the major rejection area around about 95 I'm looking at. Anyway, so that's out the way. Bitcoin dominance just very briefly below 60 still. So that dump yesterday did increase the dominance ever so slightly, and it's gone straight back down again. So this is all looking very good to tie into my overall theory as of what I think is going to happen, which is an extension of the alt season, and the ones that are going to benefit first of all are going to be the top cap alts, and this is why. So let's have a quick look. So we're going to look at weeklies, all right? And again, when I say weeklies take time to get started, all right? Weeklies aren't going. You're not going to. Don't expect to see moves immediately after you've seen this video or immediately after you've bought anything. And I'm not suggesting you buy anything because I'm not a financial advisor, but like I say, this is a weekly signal for a long-term continuation from the moment that signal took place. That roughly speaking, all right. So there's no crystal ball, but this is one of those signals that I look for on any chart, and I get very excited when I see them. So we'll start here, which is Ethereum Classic. So, like I say, they're in no particular order. Ethereum Classic, conversion baseline cross on the weekly here, Chiku span above price action. This would mean that an uptrend has begun here and will continue to happen until this blue crosses this red or the Chiku span touches price action. So this one's in play on the weekly already. This would suggest long-term continuation from this. And again, it's a weekly. This is a volatile range, all the way down here. Above the cloud, $8 to where we are at right now, $14 from the top candle there, $16. That's 100% range already. I'm not saying that we can't come back down to revisit these lows. We can, but the continuation of this trend should continue. So, one in the bag, relatively top cap coin. EOS, what have we got here? Oh, there we go. Conversion baseline cross above the cloud, Chiku span above price action. Another one in the bag, top cap coin. Neo, one of the top caps, not the most top cap, but one of them. That conversion baseline across above the cloud. The cloud is green as well, so it's even better. So this is a stronger one. Chiku span above price action. Chainlink, what have we got here? Okay, so this one's slightly different. We had it all the way back down here, but it's still good. The conversion baseline crossed above the cloud, Chiku span above price action. XRP, so this one's even stranger because of the dump and then the pump group and things. But still, that said, what have we got here? We have Ichimoku cloud conversion baseline cross above the cloud, which is green, and Chiku span above price action. And finally, and there was lots and lots of these. There was loads of these. I just knocked these together real quick. But all the way back down here for Bitcoin Cash, conversion baseline cross above the cloud, Chiku span above price action. So what I'm trying to say is top caps all have this long-term continuation setup, right? They're all set up for a long-term continuation. Really, really bullish on the long term, which basically would suggest buy and hold until we get the opposite signal to say get out of this trade, and we would have to dump massively into the ground, huge for these Chiku spans to touch the price action, or for the conversion baseline to make a negative cross. All of these ones that we're looking at here have got the signal for a long-term continuation move. And again, we've got Bitcoin dominance broken down below 70. So if my theory is correct, we're going to have a push across the board with not just all of these, but with many, 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 many more altcoins. Plus, Bitcoin is still looking pretty good for what it's worth. Hopefully, it'll go sideways and maybe just range, which is kind of what I would expect to see. Because if all these alts start moving and the gains again start flooding into altcoins, especially with the top caps, that Bitcoin dominance is going to crash. The support for Bitcoin dominance at the moment is more or less where we bounced at. It corresponds to these kind of areas down here, between as low as about 57 to maybe as high as 58. So we kind of nudged our way into that the other day, which is another reason why I expected alts to bleed more on this dump, which is what's happened. And it just meant for me more allocations, so taking profit and then going into altcoins on those dips, because I'm not here to say I'm right or anything. I'm obviously I get things wrong, and it's not about anyone being better or worse than the others. It's about how you interpret the charts, and this is how I am interpreting all these charts. Basically, that's what those signals mean. They basically mean buy, hold, long-term continuation. We're good to go. They're not going to give you it's going to reach 100 or 10,000%. Doesn't say that. What it means is it's buy and ride it out until otherwise told. It doesn't mean that you're going to make a 10x or a 20x or even a 1x or a 2x. It doesn't mean anything like that. What these mean is that there is a signal here, which is a buy and hold signal, and you ride that signal out until the wind changes, really, until you're told to get out by the opposing cross or the Chiku span touching the price action. So, like I say, I'm not calling for any specific prices or anything like that. I'm calling for a general direction of trend for top cap altcoins, and then a downtrend further with Bitcoin dominance. The only problem is the Dixie chart, which is set up in this bullish way, which doesn't mean that alts and Bitcoin can't move up. It definitely could still move up. It just means that the move up would be well, it'd be on a leash, really. I suppose that's one way to look at it. It would be on a leash, and if we broke out of this pitch fog, then yeah, the owner of that leash would probably give Bitcoin a big pullback. So get back here. It's not your time. So I just wanted to show you what I meant, because I had a few people messaging me going, "What do you mean? What do you mean with what you were saying about all these top caps?" So this is what I mean. That's an oversimplified version of basically the idea that I've got and where I've got that from. They've all got these setups on the weekly that lend themselves to the larger moves. The only problem is the time that it'll take, but they're already in these. These buy signals are already a month old for most of these, and you could argue that for some of these they've already played out. We've had the cross, we dumped down into it, and we've had it, but it doesn't mean that this is completely played out just because we had a big move since that signal. Buying something like here, when you see that cross, you get dumped into. This has happened with most of these. The cross happened, they dumped into it. The cross happened. Well, XRP is the exception for some reason. EOS, big move here, dumped down into it. So it's like I say, there's no crystal ball. It's a long term, over the period. I'd say over the period of this year. I would say top cap alts have got really very very good setups, and so I'm pretty bullish across the board. And that is the theory that I think I will stick to for the moment until proven otherwise. And like I say, it is a signal that is traded this way. You buy this, you hold it for a long period of time. But again, I'm not your financial advisor. I've rambled long enough. I've hopefully got my point across in plain English, and I'll leave it with you there. I've got to go and do some Easter egg hunts now, so I hope you have a nice weekend, good Easter, and whatever it is that you're doing. And yeah, take it easy. Thanks for watching.